it's really important that we have a TA infrastructure and organization within the company that can proliferate that message. And this is something that we tout a lot. We think that there's five pillars to a best-in-class talent acquisition function. The first is people. So we need to have professional recruiters that are professionally managed with the right expectations, that are going out and creating relationships with candidates, with hiring managers, and they're really telling that story over and over and over again. The second is process. We need to make sure that we have a streamlined and efficient process in order to move candidates through as quickly as we possibly can. So if you go through and you workflow that all out, you take your current process and you look at it, there's typically all these little levers that we could pull to drive streamlining, to drive efficiencies, but we need to do it in a very careful way. We need to do things that are enhancing the candidate experience as well as enhancing the hiring manager experience. The third thing is technology. Obviously, this is big, and it starts with an applicant tracking system. We all know that. That's your system of truth, your system of record. That needs to be optimized, it needs to be efficient, and it needs to reflect that best-in-class workflow that we just talked about. But at the same time, there's all these other AI platforms that are out there that can really help us when it comes to driving efficiency. I think one of the coolest things about AI is not that it will just do all this processing power, but it really helps us meet candidates where they are. And what we've seen from our data is that most of our pre-screens are through AI are actually occurring after hours. So that's nights, it's weekends, and in my opinion, that's really meeting candidates where they're at. And we're helping to fit into their life, and we're there instantly. So they apply, they get a bunch of information up front, they're able to ask questions up front and really get to that next level quickly and efficiently in a way that fits their schedule and fits their lifestyle. The fourth thing is digital recruitment marketing. So we need to make sure that we are proliferating our jobs as far and wide as we possibly can, and we're filling the top of the candidate funnel. And what we always say is with more candidates come more choice, and we can make the best culture and value matches with more candidates. But there's a couple ways that we need to be able to do that. So one, from a proliferation perspective, we need to make sure that our strategies are sound from a investment standpoint. How are we, what platforms are we using to proliferate those jobs? What investment are we putting towards those jobs? And are we just throwing cash at it, or are we being really strategic when we're looking to do those things? And we need to make sure that we're using our dollars wisely. The other portion of that is really, what story are we telling? So do we have an employee value proposition? Do we have a brand promise? Are we really articulating how somebody's life would be different if they come to work for us versus going to work at the healthcare system down the street or any of our other competitors? And it doesn't always come down to pay and benefits. Those are really important things, and we need to make sure that we're articulating those things, but it's that next layer and the heart of the organization that people really want to understand. And we need to be able to send that message, particularly on the EBP, over and over and over again. And it needs to be reflected in every single interaction that we have, whether it's, something showing up on the website and, clicking on a link or a job posting, whether it's when they're interacting with a human recruiter or even our AI agents. And we need to make sure that that heart is always in it. The fifth thing is reporting and analytics. And we need to make sure that we're analyzing all of our data. If I had a dime for every time I talked to an organization that couldn't pull the right data from their system to have any sort of meaningful information, I'd own a private island somewhere. Ultimately, it's so important that what we're extracting from our applicant tracking system is usable and useful to make decisions in order to drive our talent acquisition strategy. So, and that'll include, being able to pull just standard reports. And that's one thing, to pull a standard report, but then how are we analyzing that data? Are we using Power BI? Are we using some other platform that will aggregate some of that data and then show us what are the trends for the future? And what, if we continue on this track, what does that look like going forward? And then how are we utilizing that to make decisions? And are we making data-driven decisions, or are we making just knee-jerk reaction decisions? We need to make sure it's the former, that we're making data-driven decisions.